Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Kitchen Table Magic, where I showcase 60 card decks that are fun to play and fun to buy. I'm your host and wish Joshua Wiseman, Aiden. This episode, we have an older deck that I made for my wonderful wife Ashley many years ago, pretty close to when I was first starting Magic, maybe I've been playing for about a year. This is Zenith Unicycle. This deck revolves around cycling. For those of you who don't know, cycling is an ability on cards that allow you to pay a certain amount of mana, discard the card, and then draw a card. This deck is what I like to call a unicycle because every single card in the deck, with only a few exceptions, cycles for 1 mana. That means every card in your deck is also a budget opt, right? Pay 1 mana, discard it, draw a card. Importantly, most of these are colorless costs, which means that we can get away with running a lot of blue cards, where our mana base only has 2 basic islands in terms of blue sources. Now we can do that because we don't really care what the cards do. There are a couple cards here that are very good with other cycling effects that we'll go over in a little bit, but in general, we just want these cards in our graveyard from our hand and to dig through our deck in order to play Zenith Flare, which is a 4 mana instant. It deals X damage to any target and you gain X life, where X is the number of cards with a cycling ability in your graveyard, which for us should be the number of cards in our graveyard, because every card in our deck, except for basic lands, has a cycling ability. So that means your play pattern is going to be draw, discard 1, turn 1, discard 2, turn 2, discard 3, turn 3, and you keep going until you get to 20, or whatever your opponent's life total is, and then you hit him with the Zenith Flare at instant speed, making sure to work around counter spells. A couple notable cards in the deck. Flourishing Fox is one of those cards that not only cycles for 1, but also works very well with other cycling cards. I often will play a Flourishing Fox on turn 1, forces your opponent to either deal with it, and then it's in the graveyard for your Zenith Flare, or it can get very big very quick in this deck and lower your opponent's life total to make Zenith Flare a little easier. Another one of note is Drannith's Stinger, which says when you cycle another card, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. This can win you the game, potentially. If you have Stinger out for long enough, you're just pinging your opponent for 1 damage, you just need to cycle 20 cards. But it's even better if you play it on turn 2 and use it to lower your opponent's life total to the point where you can hit him with the Zenith Flare. Now, those are generally the only 2 cards that I'm almost always going to play on turn 1 or turn 2. There's a couple situational ones. Drannith Healer lets you gain 1 life whenever you cycle a card. It's decent, doesn't really help you win the game, and 1 life for 1 mana in a card isn't an amazing rate, so I usually don't play Healer. Startling Development, Frostveil Ambush, and Boon of the Wishgiver, I don't think I've ever played these cards. They're only in there because they are 1 mana cyclers. That's it. You can replace them with any other 1 mana cyclers you have in your collection. These were just the ones that I had when I built the deck originally, and there was no real reason to replace them. Startling Development, there is a case for swinging in with a Flourishing Fox, buffing it for 2 mana to a 4/4, and potentially winning that way, but it's never happened to me. Football Crater, same thing. It has an effect, but it doesn't really matter because it's just a 1 mana cycler. Now we're going to get into the couple of 2 mana cyclers we have, which I know I said every cycling card in this deck is 1 mana. I lied, but for a good reason. This card here, Ominous Seas, it's a 2 mana enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, put a foreshadow counter on Ominous Seas, and you remove 8 foreshadow counters to make an 8/8. Basically, once you've drawn 8 cards, you make an 8/8. Draw another 8, make another 8/8. It's not a good card, but Ominous Seas is a very fun card, hence why there are 2 of these in here. They're definitely less than ideal. You should definitely replace these with 2 more Boon of the Wishgivers like I have in the sideboard here, but I have a soft spot for this card. It's so much fun when it works, and I've had a lot of really good games using this card. The other 2 mana cost cycler we have in the deck is Valiant Rescuer. This is a 2 mana 3/1. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, make a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, of course with cycling too. This card is in here because this will save you. You're going up against an aggro deck and you need chump blockers, play a Valiant Rescuer, make a 1/1. Your opponent's turn, cycle a card, because cycling can be done at instant speed, make another 1/1. Not only does it draw removal like a magnet if you have a Flourishing Fox or a Drannith Stinger out, but it really will save you. And there's a couple games that you will see coming up where it absolutely does. Moving on to the mana base, this is where most of the upgrades happened. The idea for the deck has stayed very similar. I believe that when cycling was in standard, there was a deck similar to this, but now that we're not playing standard, we're just playing kitchen table, you can kind of add whatever cards you want, and so we can add a couple of these better cyclers. Ash Barrens is a land that cycles. Great. Forgotten Cave, also a land that cycles. Unfortunately, it cycles for a red, so you kind of have to be careful with your colors, but still, much better to have all this cycling in the mana base. Secluded Steppe, same thing as Forgotten Cave, but it cycles for a white. Taps for a white as well. Perilous Landscape. Now these are interesting, but I've grown to really appreciate them. They're a land that taps for a colorless, or you can tap and sacrifice it for a Evolving Wilds type effect, where you're searching for one of the 3 colors of basics, and then it cycles for 3, one of each color. That's really hard, because as you can probably see from the deck, we only have 2 blue sources, and we don't really need those except for Ominous Seas. So if you take out the Ominous Seas, just take these out as well, replace them with Mountain and another Plains. But Perilous Landscape is really good because if you tap and sacrifice it to go look for that basic, that's another cycling card in your graveyard for Zenith Flare. So even though we don't really cycle this, I think I maybe do it once throughout these games, but it's still very, very good, solely for it being a land drop that also puts another cycler in your graveyard. Quick disclaimer, while I was recording these videos, I did switch up a couple of the card choices, messing around with the mana base a lot specifically. The version that I recorded in the intro is the final version, but you may see a couple of cards that get cut or numbers that get changed kind of throughout. And with that, let's jump into the games. Okay, playing against an opponent who has the Lae'zel avatar. I've always thought that the art for Lae'zel looks so different, even just in attitude, than Lae'zel looks in, at least in Baldur's Gate 3. They're also playing 243 cards, so we'll see. Okay. I'm going to keep it. Again, kind of hard to find a hand you're not keeping. Sheltering Landscape is in here because it's untapped, and if you sacrifice it, it puts stuff in your graveyard for cycling. But it's basically a basic since we don't have any green to actually cycle it. Oh, and there's the flare. Well, we're going to play this, and then we're going to basic land cycle the Ash Barrens. Probably going to get, well, let's see what our opponent does. If they go kind of slow, Ominous Seas. They're going very fast, Flourishing Fox. And they're going fast. Okay, so we're going to try to get the Fox out and stop them from being able to attack with as many tokens. That's the plan. Alright, Plains, play the Plains, play the Fox, and pass the turn. Hopefully they can't remove it. Unfortunately, white has a lot of really good removal, even with tokens. Okay. Old-Tech Matter Weaver, whenever you cast a creature spell, make a 1/1 gnome artifact creature token, or make a token that's a copy of target artifact token. Oh, this could definitely lead to some shenanigans. But maybe our opponent's playing it fairly. If you make a token copy of something that's not supposed to be a token, then you get to copy it a whole bunch of times with Matter Weaver. I hope they are, because that would be a very entertaining game. Do we attack? If we attack, we can get big enough that they can't kill it. And we have Flare in hand, so let's attack. Our opponent's thinking, how many cycling cards do they have? Well, we've got a lot. We're gonna go ahead and pump it up to the moon. So we have a 5/5. 15. We've got 5 in the graveyard for Zenith Flare. So if we hit again, we get pretty close. Resplendent Angel. Okay. So this doesn't gain them life unless they pump 6 mana into it, but it makes me think that they have life gain, which is unfortunate. Okay, Go for Blood is pretty good. We could use that to fight the Angel, except we have no red mana at all, actually, right now. I'm gonna play the Perilous Landscape. Should I attack? I think we might be able to almost win next turn if they don't block. And if they do block, we're just removing that gnome token. Kind of a cute little guy, ain't he? Okay, they're blocking, so we're not going to bother to pump it up. We're just going to pass. And got quite a few cyclers here. We will need to sack one of these in order to get the red source that we need to cast Zenith. I don't think we're attacking after this turn. We're at 9, which is not a lot. Which also means that we can't sit back and do nothing. Because they will have a lethal next turn through our blocker. Let's keep cycling until the last possible second in case we draw an untapped red source. We do have 3 in the deck now, so... Okay, there we go. Basic land cycle. I guess we have 7 if you include those. So let's get that red. Okay. Oh, and we drew one. Okay. 9/9. They are definitely going to block. So I think instead what we do is we leave it back and we try to intimidate them with a Go for Blood. Right? Because 9, we can only cycle 1 if we Zenith Flare, so we can't Zenith Flare this turn. We're gonna kill their Angel. Great. If we attack now, they're just gonna block with the token. So we're not getting through with this Fox anytime soon. So I think let's hold back. Hope they don't somehow gain a ton of life. And then we might be able to get them out with Zenith Flare. Muriel. Shield of Argive. During your turn, we can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Okay. We can still cycle, though. Because in our hand, they are cards. If it said can't activate abilities of cards, then we couldn't. Okay. Valiant Rescuer. Ominous Seas is actually fewer cards in the graveyard than if we just do this. I'm going to sacrifice this one first. We don't have any forests in the deck. So let's use this to get a blue source. Because we are running low on basics. Okay. So let's see. 13. Oh, you know what? Our opponent has no mana open. So let's just get it done. 14. Nope. We have it exactly. Oh my gosh. The Sheltering Landscape is just enough because that has a cycling ability. So when we sacrifice it to search, that counts as one more card for Zenith Flare, which gives us exactly enough. Whew. Wow. That was very close. Okay. Island, Stinger, no Zenith Flare, but I think that's okay. Valiant Rescuer, just in case. This hand's good, because we can Island and Ash Barrens to cycle into whatever other basic that we need. So that's great. Okay, opponent shows us Overgrown Farmland. I wonder if they are green-white enchantments. I feel like anytime I see these... Oh. Okay. So they're angels with Collected Company. Not great. Unfortunately, Giada is great. So we're gonna have to try to go quickly here. So I'm gonna get a mountain, and we're gonna play a stinger and hope it lives. Sometimes these decks run a surprising amount of removal. Another overgrown farmland, this one untapped. Soul Warden. We don't really care about that. Normally it's an annoying card, but... Okay, holding up 2 mana. That's actually okay, because we don't really care that much about the stinger. So then the only question is, do we risk attacking? I think not. Go for blood. Do we care about killing the Warden? No, I don't think so. Bit of a risk, but we can't let them get to the long game. Okay, Bishop of Wings. We were right to not go for the Warden, even though the life gain can be annoying for this deck. Looks like they might still be holding up, well, 3 mana, I suppose, but only for angels. There could be a 3 mana flash angel, honestly. I do not know enough about it. I know they say know your enemy, but the least I know about angels, the happier I am. Okay. Untapped land, that's really what we were going for. We don't have a white source, so I may end up sacrificing this to go get one. We're just gonna hang back. Righteous Valkyrie. Oh. That's tough there. And it has a counter because of Giada. We might need to Zenith into Zenith here. Because once they start pumping out angels here, they're gonna gain so much life. Okay, let's start cycling. Make sure, nope, don't tap the Perilous Landscape. We need you for white if we don't draw a plains here. So far, we have not. Let's just keep going. Okay, down to 20. So we're doing okay at keeping up with their life total, but we absolutely need to be ready to Zenith. So let's crack it for the plains. Okay. No Zenith and no land. We don't actually have that many cards in our graveyard. We're up to 8. So we'd only Zenith for 9 if we cycle. Oh, we'd have to cycle into both a land and Zenith. So let's just keep going. Go for blood. Could be a decent draw. I could have Startling Development the Singer to fight the Valkyrie. Except that now it's a 3/5, so... Yeah, let's just keep cycling until we hit a land. I could have played a Flourishing Fox, I suppose, but none of their threats are on the ground at the moment, so we don't really care. Okay, good. Whew. That was kind of a lot. But you know what? We've got them down to 16, so this Stinger's doing work. And that's probably it. If you haven't played against a Collected Company deck before, you're lucky. 4 mana, instant. Look at the top. 6 cards of your library, put up to 2 creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Okay. Let's cycle because this is actually kind of a blowout for them. Yeah, they didn't realize that they were 1 cycle away from losing that buff, so I got to kill their Soul Warden. So that's good. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna have to keep digging for something, I suppose. We can cycle this. I guess it's just an extra damage, but it also... We could play it. I think we need to play it at this point. What saves us right now? Well, not that. guess I could go, worst case, I can go for blood, fighting the Gyata. We lose our Stinger, which is really the only reason we're anywhere close to in this game. Oh, 2 basics there is bad. But I don't know that I have a choice. Okay, we'll just cycle this, see what we get. I don't know what we could get at this point, but another basic. That's not great. Okay, well, let's kill the Gyata, because if they somehow... They need to gain 5 life here to buff everything up and kill us. Oh, Bishop of Wings. Yeah, that's it. Collected Company, that cinches it up. They're going to gain a bunch of life. Good game, good game. Well, it's Angels, so I think you already know the answer to this question. Okay, so we only have white mana, but we do have an Ash Barrens, which can go and get anything we need. Ominous Seas early is nice. I think we can keep this. You'll find you usually keep hands with this deck because going down to 6 can be very painful. Okay, opponents land and pass. I think I am... Oh, if I play this, this gives us a chance to top deck the basic. If I play this, I could Draineth Healer if they're aggro. Let's just play the top land. Tough decisions, but Zenith Flare is a really good draw there. So that's excellent. Oh. Alright, land number 2. Oh. Angels. Okay. How do we do this? We have to cycle this Ash Barrens to get a red, because we're going to need to play the Draenith Stinger as soon as we can. Because they're going to be gaining a lot of life, so we need to whittle down their life at least as fast as they're gaining it. Otherwise, Zenith Flare won't do enough damage. Seems like they're stuck on 2 lands, which is excellent. Things going a little slow for them is kind of the only way we stay in this game, just because they can gain so much life, and we really do not have a way to stop them. Tapped land. Okay, I think we have to play the Stinger and hope that they're not holding up removal. There's a stick there, that's not great. And then play that tapped. Don't kill it. Oh, alright. Our Draenith Stinger survives to fend off the Bishop of Wings for now. Oh. Well, you know what? At least they're not playing Angels, so I can't be too upset. Flourishing Fox, quite good. I think in this case I am going to play the Fox. Do I want to crack the maps onto the Fox? Or do I play the Stinger? Because if they have another Get Lost, I don't care about the Fox as much. We haven't made our land drop for this turn, so I'm going to play the Fox, and I'm just going to start cycling. Try to hit our land drop. Okay, there we go. Perilous Landscape. That's a good draw. So Perilous Landscape is so good in this deck because not only does it have a cycling ability that's expensive, but still a cycling ability if we need to, but we can tap and sack it just like a Evolving Wilds or something like that, and that means that it can be put in the graveyard for free for Zenith Flare. So if you don't have anything to cycle, you can just sacrifice that or use it to fix your mana. And of course, it being an untapped land is just excellent. Right now, however, I'm going to use it just to get some good cycles. I don't need to sacrifice it. And since they're not gaining any life... Ooh, double Zenith. Double Zenith is good. I'm going to play the Stinger this time, and I'll cycle more of these. See what we can get. Okay, no land. Come on, land. We don't really need lands. Okay, tap land. I'll take it. But it does make the flare easier. At this point, they're so far behind, even against our fairly slow deck, that they're going to have to gain a lot of life to keep up. Because this brings them back up to 20, but we can just cycle the Fox, hope to draw land, and they are going to gain a little bit of life here, so I don't think we can just double flare to kill them. I think let's Stinger again, and we can damage them a little bit by cycling, or do we want to explore? Actually, I'm gonna explore. I really would like to hit land. That can go in the graveyard. Explore does actually work very well with this deck. Let's keep going. Either we get a land, which I can play, like that, and then explore again, because these cost 2. This is Ominous Seas, kind of coming back to bite us. It's a super fun card, as I mentioned. I love Ominous Seas so much, but I don't know if it's actually good. At least not in one-on-one. Okay, so we're at 2 mana extra, so I'm gonna cycle this. I suppose I can wait and do it at instant speed. Hopefully they don't have any angels here. Oh, they're up to 4 mana. They've got to have something. Okay. Hard mode. So they're about to go up to 28. How many things can we get into the graveyard? Just enough? Is that right? Let's do the math here. So, cycle Flourishing Fox. Ooh, another Zenith Flare. That's pretty good. I am gonna sacrifice this, which it has a cycling ability and go into the graveyard, so I can grab one of those. Yep. They were just slow enough that even with the life gain, which is normally a death sentence for our deck, we were still able to get there. Alright. We definitely had a bit of an unfair advantage there with them being stuck on 2 lands for so long, but Angels is a very powerful deck, and they kind of had removal, 4 pieces of removal for the whole thing, so that went pretty well. Okay. Ominous Seas in the opener, and a whole bunch of 1 mana cyclers, and we can play Ominous Seas on curve. I'm gonna keep that. Blue mana. Ooh, Merfolk. We might not have time for Ominous Seas to work. I'm gonna play that first, and then we can basic land cycle Ash Barrens to get a white. Island Walk. Oh no. There's only a few basic islands in the deck, and they're coming back to bite us. Okay, so there's no point in blocking, because every Merfolk is basically unblockable. So let's get white, I suppose. We really need both eventually. Will Ominous Seas do anything here? Honestly, if they had mana open, I'd be way more tempted to go for it, because they might draw a counter spell. Man, Island Walk. Yeah, unfortunate. Okay, I'm gonna play Ominous Seas. You know what? We put it in to have fun. We're gonna see if it can be good enough for this game. Merfolk Windrobber. An interesting card in the deck, I will say. Okay. I'm gonna start cycling. Okay, there's a land. That's what we needed. And plus this can go fetch us a red once we find it. Now, this deck is kind of both very good and very bad against control decks like this. On one hand, you can't counter the cycling easily, at least not unless you have a Stifle, and it doesn't feel very good to stifle a cycle, especially because it's just replacing one card with another. But on the other hand, if you have a smart control player and they hold up a counterspell the whole time, they can just counter your Zenith Flare, and that's kind of it. So if we find an untapped land here, I think we can get up to 8 counters on Ominous Seas, which is really important because that means we can block the Master of the Pearl Trident to survive at least one more turn. Okay, Dranith Healer. I want that for next turn. For now, I think what I need to do is hold up cycling enough of these to put 8 counters on Ominous Seas. Can't give them anything to do with the counter spells that are most definitely in their hand. Wind Robber, okay. That's, well, it's not fine, but it doesn't change any of the situation. So they attack here. Oh. Okay. So our opponent sees that we will be able to do the Ominous Seas thing. So let's crack this for a mountain, just so we have one untapped. Because as much as we want to cast Zenith Flare as our win con, it can also just be a save your ass kind of card. Dranith Stinger, not the matchup, as much as we love it. This does tell me that they have counter spells, not bounce, because if they had bounce spells, I feel they would be way more likely to attack all and then bounce the token that I make. As it is, we'll just play what's technically correct, although I don't think it matters here. And we'll do Ominous Seas on their end step. Really quick, they haven't milled a... Okay, good. This is a very good deck against mill, unless they have Graveyard Exile, of course. But if they mill a Zenith Flare, that feels bad. Okay, so they had it last turn. If they'd attacked all, they could have just bounced the 8/8. Interesting. That does mean that we are open to a good Zenith draw here. So if we play Dranith Healer, we can cycle 3 things. And that brings us up to 7, which is enough to survive the air. If we don't do that, we can cycle 1, hope we get Zenith Flare for 10. I think that it's, considering what our opponent did last turn, even though they had the bounce, I'm gonna hope that the mana that I'm gonna hold up makes them nervous enough that they don't do anything. Oh. Okay, I think that's it. Well, they couldn't have countered the flare. Let's see if that would have been the right move. So if this is a flare, then we misplayed. It's not, so it looks like it doesn't make a difference. Good game, opponent. Good game. Okay. 1 land? Ugh, going down to 6 with this deck is not great. But I think we need an untapped land, especially considering that we've been finding a lot of aggro today. Okay, this is pretty good. And you know what? I am gonna drop that off because both of these let us cycle, since we have only colorless cycling costs. Okay. Let's get rid of that, and we've got Zenith Flare in hand, and we're going for that, so we'll get red. So we need to find white. We can always sacrifice the Perilous Landscape to go for it. Gala Greeters. This is a fun card. Whenever another creature you control enters, choose one that hasn't been chosen, put a +1/+1 counter on it, make a tap treasure token, or gain 2 life. I've played with the card a couple of times. Crater. There is a very niche scenario in which Football Crater gets played rather than cycled, but it's one of those cards that you don't really want to. Not at all. Join the dance. Okay, that's going to trigger Gala Greeters twice. Let's see what they do. Hopefully they don't use it to gain life, because they probably haven't seen a deck like this. But life gain, as I've mentioned before, is kind of devastating. Okay, I'm gonna cycle this, and if I don't find a land, I am gonna crack. Well, we're not ready to Zenith Flare yet, actually. Let's go ahead and keep going. Okay, there's a land. There's another island. We'll play the island. We can cycle the Perilous Landscape in an emergency. Maybe I should have played this so I could get into the graveyard, but we'll do the other one. Ooh. Mondrak Glory Dominus. That's a good one, because now they're making double treasures. At least they're tapped, so that's something. And they don't yet have an instant... Yep, they don't yet have an instant speedway to make tokens, or to make creatures for Gala Graders. When I was building Gala Graders, that was something that was pretty high up on my list. Because being able to do it every turn... Okay, this is great. Basic land cycling means we can go and fetch our planes, which also means that we don't want to put our Perilous Landscape into the graveyard, because we'll just be stone raining ourselves. That's kind of unfortunate timing of all this. Okay. Are we dead next turn? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? No. And then we can start Zenith Flaring to gain life. We could even Zenith Flare this turn. If we landscape, that's 9 cards in the graveyard. No. I think we can wait a turn, although that does put us on a bit of a clock. Okay, that is dangerous, but I don't think it changes anything. They're gonna put it, like, starting to gain life. Okay, so 23, let's see, we've got 5 mana, 6 next turn, so if we cycle, hit for 9, then next turn cycle, hit for 11, that's exactly 20, so that does not kill them. So we're just gonna have to hope that they don't go off with the Valet. If you haven't seen it before, Devilish Valet, 1/3 trample haste. Whenever another creature you control enters, double its power until end of turn. If you're making lots of tokens, which our opponent is, this card can be a one-shot. Absolutely. Okay. Do I want to cycle the landscape, or do I want to cycle the stinger? I guess the only hits in our deck that stop us right now are another Perilous Landscape, so let's keep going. We need to have some big turns here. Okay. Oh, unfortunate tappage there. Should have tapped the blue first. Okay, so play the Perilous Landscape. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 4, we can cycle 2 more things this turn, which will be the... Oh, it can't be the cave. We'll have to go for blood into another cycler. Okay, let's see what nonsense they do here. Can they kill us? Is the question. Something fun about playing this deck on Arena is you do get to see the other people do their thing. Like, you don't really interact with it, you don't stop it, you're just hoping that your Zenith Flare goes bigger than whatever they're doing. In this case, it doesn't look like it. I'm going to play it out just to see that big attack, but the Devilish Valet We could Zenith Flare the Valet. That does keep us in the game. So, I mean, it keeps us in the game, but I don't know that it changes the outcome. But let's do it. Do they have a protection spell? I wouldn't have been too surprised to find out that was the case in a deck like that. Okay. I could have cracked the Perilous Landscape for one more, but I'm so constrained on colored mana right now. Okay. Yeah, let's tap these islands early. Actually, no. There's no point in doing it on our opponent's turn at this point. They know what we're up to. And we're probably gonna have to kill a creature again. So we really just need to hope we draw something. Well, I'll play that. Cycle one more Go for Blood. We're gonna need to hit a lot of Zenith Flares here. Okay. The good news is, unless they've got another Valet, I mean, I hesitate to say only, but we're looking at 15 damage here. We gained 15 life. Ooh. And there it is. This is the combo. Stimulus Package and Gala Greeters, and they even have the Alchemy version of it. So, Stimulus Package makes treasures when it enters, which doesn't really matter. But more importantly, when you can sack a treasure to make a 1/1 token. Gala Greeters makes a treasure. And Stimulus Package doesn't care that it's tapped. So if you have these two out, you can just trigger Gala Greeters every turn to make treasures and just have an extra 1/1 every turn. And Mondrak just makes it absolutely insane. Okay, sorry opponent. I need to Zenith Flare here. Do we die? 4, 5, 6, 12, 15? No. So let's Zenith Flare in the face. And we need to draw another Zenith Flare. It's as simple as that. We've already drawn 2. 33 cards in the deck, so odds are not great, but we do have a couple chances. 3 chances to hit it. Well, we can't cycle these, so 2 chances to hit it. Yeah, I think we're dead here. I can't even basic land cycle that. I need to throw some more basics in here. I might not even show this game. Okay, Ominous Seas. Does nothing. Does nothing, and I don't even have the mana to... Barely have the mana to cycle it. Yep, that's it. Good game, opponent. Well, good game for them. Definitely not a good game for us. Very mediocre showing, and it just goes to show that life gain just absolutely wrecks us. Okay, 2 tapped lands, but some cyclers and a Zenith Flare. We'll keep it. Okay, opponent's showing us an island. We'll see if that means control or... Oh, Improbable Alliance. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, make a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. Pay 6 mana to draw and discard. That's fun. I'm gonna go ahead and play a Fox. It's probably just gonna draw out some removal, but maybe our opponent won't be threatened by it and we can kind of get him with some cycling. Broadside Barrage. Can't say I've seen that one very often. Okay, we drew an island, which is good. Do we care about the healer? We could play the healer and try to draw out some more removal from them. We're not under a lot of pressure, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we have a hand full of other things to cycle. I would have preferred to play the Stinger, but no red mana. Broadside Barrage again. Well, I will go ahead and cycle. Gain 1 life. Draw a card. Okay. Red mana. I don't know that I think Broadside Barrage is a particularly good card. I mean, it's not bad, right? But it's also just kind of medium. 3 mana for 5 damage is on rate, and draw a card and discard a card is a nice benefit. But it's not, I wouldn't say this is necessarily an auto-include. Homunculus Horde. Now here we go. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature. This is like the card draw Scoot Swarm. I like this card. Keep the Frostveil Ambush. It can save us if something ridiculous happens, which it definitely could with Homunculus Horde. Ooh, Ominous Seas. Do we do it? Do we play the Ominous Seas here, or do we cycle a whole bunch and try to Zenith Flare next turn? The smart move is to Zenith Flare, but you know what? Our opponent is playing Homunculus Horde, so we're gonna do Ominous Seas. We're gonna Ominous Seas, and then they're not gonna give up their Horde. I'm actually okay with it if they do also, because this card can get out of hand very quickly. Okay. Show us the Horde. Planeswalker. Okay. The Royal Scions. This is Will and Rowan. They each actually are their own Planeswalkers a couple of times. And more recently, creatures. There's actually a very fun Rowan deck that you can make. And Will deck. They're both very interesting cards. +1 to draw a card, discard a card. +1 as well to give it +2/+0 and first strike and trample until end of turn. Draw 4 cards. When you do, it deals damage to any target equal number of cards in your hand. Okay. Let's see what they do here. They're just attacking. Alright. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and cycle. Deal some damage here. They are holding up 2 mana. That could mean a counter spell, but it's actually okay. I'm not quite ready to go for my Zenith Flare yet. I'm gonna get, well, I'll get a white. Okay. So we'll play the planes. Do I think they'll block now? They are. It's already a token copy. But is anyone playing Homunculus Horde really gonna want to block with it? I don't think so. I'm gonna go ahead and try to attack here. Oh. Is it Charm? Draw 2, discard 2. Okay. Now that triggers both Improbable Alliance and Homunculus Horde, so I'm not attacking because they now have 4 Homunculus Hordes, which isn't enough to kill us, but that is getting there quite quickly. I would very much like to draw another Zenith Flare here. Another Homunculus Horde. Doesn't really matter once you get going like this, because it's basically worse than drawing an extra card.
I will learn what nobody yet knows.
because this doubles all of these. So next turn, we're in a bad place. We're not in a great place this turn, but because we're just going to be able to cycle so much, we might be able to get there. The nice part about this deck is you can just cycle your stuff and let the map figure out how it will, or not figure out how it will. Okay, gotta make sure it taps the blue in case we draw the other secluded step. There we go. Down to 10. So Zenith Flare is lethal here, and we will have an untapped land. Should I block? No. 4... Yeah, we're good. I guess they could have had a pump spell there, but they would have had it no matter what. Alright. Perilous Landscape. And let's Flare with 2 mana open in case they have a Spell Pierce. And they did not. Well, our opponent was definitely cooking. This feels like the kind of deck that I would make at some point. Like, I just absolutely love Homunculus Horde shenanigans like this, and even Improbable Alliance is a deck that I had in early versions of this deck even, because you draw your second card to turn a lot. But, oh, so much fun. So I hope that gave you a pretty good idea of what the deck is trying to do, as well as some of the good showings and bad showings of the deck. I did want to add a quick couple of notes here, mostly in regards to multiplayer. So if you know anything about me, you know that normally when I play on paper, it's with a decently sized group. So in order to account for that, I've added some extra cards to the sideboard that I think are definitely worth mentioning. The most, I guess, interesting of these is definitely Cursed Recording. If you used Cursed Recording before, you know that it is a volatile card. I mean, it has the potential to straight up kill you if you cast too many instants and sorceries. However, in this deck, we're only casting 1, and being able to copy that multiple times is very powerful. So if you're playing against multiple opponents, you can cast your Zenith Flare, tap your Curse Recording to copy it, and potentially knock out 2 people, or double it to knock out 1 person if they're being a very annoying threat. It is good. I haven't tried it in multiplayer, so if you try it, let me know. Throw me a comment down below. Let me know if it worked or not. But I do think that this would be very good. Dismantling Wave is another one. If you cycle it, it destroys all artifacts and enchantments, which is a very powerful effect, especially because we love to cycle here, and you don't necessarily need any permanents on the battlefield at all, much less artifacts or enchantments. However, in that line, I did find one card that I am going to be making another cycling deck in a future point using that I wanted to point out, and that is Fluctuator, which is a 2-mana artifact that says cycling abilities you activate cost up to 2 colorless mana less to cast. This makes 80% of your cycling abilities in your deck free, except for lands. So if you're in multiplayer, you need a big advantage because this deck does generally do much better in one-on-one. So throwing a bunch of these into your main deck will let you have those explosive turns where you wait until you have Zenith Flare in hand, then cycle everything for free and Zenith Flare at instant speed to kill 1 person if you have Curse Recording out, potentially kill 2 people at one time. So another couple of cards that I thought were really interesting that would go well in the deck, High Noon, because you don't only need to cast 1 spell, Zenith Flare. It would definitely help slow down a table. However, it will a little bit put a target on your back. I've played other decks with High Noon before, and no one particularly enjoys it, and this deck doesn't have a great way to defend itself except by using Zenith Flare to gain enough life that it's harder to kill you. So I would be cautious with High Noon. Another one, Lonely Sandbar. If you are in fact adding any more blue cards, you should add a couple of these in, sub out for some of the Secluded Steps or Forgotten Cave, just to make sure your mana is right. And on that note, Neutralize and Censor, both of these counter spells are decent because the cycling is a colored mana for Censor, and 2 cost for Neutralize. I didn't include these in the deck, but in multiplayer, definitely include Neutralize if you have Fluctuator, and if you don't, I would still consider throwing in some sensors maybe, just because you're going to tend to have a longer game, and just having something to, even if it's not a great way, just having something to protect your Zenith Flare might be a good idea. But again, this deck, much better one-on-one, will struggle a little bit in multiplayer. And that's the deck. If you enjoyed this video or want to see more content like it, be sure to leave me a like, subscribe, give me a comment letting me know what you would like to see next, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I wonder if there's any way to make a combo deck with Fluctuator where every card has that 2 cycling cost so you can go through your entire deck for free. And even if you don't win the game on the spot, at the very least you can cycle into the exact set of cards that you would need to potentially win the game on the spot. That might be worth trying.